So thank you for joining me and Mac today. I asked Mac, I was offered, and then I asked Mac from HoneyBook, hey, people want to know more about HoneyBook. They're trying to decide different ways that they can improve all of their processes, right? And what I love about HoneyBook and what I wanted to share with the Rise Above Noise community is how everything is in one platform. And you know how I use Gmail for my inbox for regular emails. And when you try to find the threads of a discussion and they're all over the place and you can't read them and they're jumping around and when did they say that and did they respond? I think that might be one of my favorite things about HoneyBook is that I'm able to have all of the emails all in one, what they call portal, right? So if I'm working with Jane, I can just go to Jane Smith and I can see all of the emails we've had back and forth. I have a place for any notes that I'm taking while Jane is talking, any links that we're using, passwords, anything she wants me to review. And then I can also create tasks. So in the task part, what I love about that and what a lot of my clients are looking for in their systems is a way to remind them so many networking opportunities that we have here, right? And so many things just fall through the cracks. We have stickies here. We have notes in our notebook. We, try to remember to do the things, but unless we have a reminder, so I really lean on the tasks quite a bit. So that's how I use it on the back end. The front end that I love is two things that I want to share with the Rise Above Noise community first. The first thing that I love about it is that I have a automation set up. And I just want to tell you guys, I have a lot to learn, which is the other reason I asked Mac to come here today. I have so much to learn here, but even the amount that I know now has made a phenomenal difference in my life. So I have a system that I did set up, which is if somebody signs up for a discovery call, a certain email goes out and then a follow-up and to what to expect. And I'm asking them to fill out a form so I learn more about them. Then a day later or so, they're going to get a video from me talking about the Rise Above Noise 5-pillar system, why it helps to remove the chaos and the time suck and the energy suck of digital marketing. And then a reminder, of course, before our meeting with just what to expect during our call. What that does is when I'm on a discovery call, I don't have to talk about myself at all. They have the interview with Susan. They understand the Rise Above Noise process, and they know that when we meet, I am going to be listening, and then I can give them some feedback. So it's a huge time saver. That's what we're talking about here, I think, is time.
Exactly.
Right? And then the other thing that I love is now and this is what I think Mac is going to go into because I don't think I have it perfected yet. Somebody's like, yep, ready to work with me. And I'm like, okay, I'll send you out the proposal. So it's the proposal, the contract, the invoicing, and any systems that we need to set up. And I think that's why I need you guys to hear from Mac today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be here. I can just pop right in the presentation if we're ready to go. And then if people come in later, this is all recorded and everything too. So we won't worry about that too much. But great. I'll go ahead and kick things off. Thank you so much,
Mac.
Susan.
I'm
That was
glad you're
awesome.
here.
Yeah, thank you. So got to introduce myself. My name is Mac. I'm part of the product education team here at HoneyBook. I'm the product evangelist at HoneyBook. So if anyone is watching this and they're an existing member with us, they might have met me before. I teach all of our kind of live internal webinars for our existing members. So if you're in kind of Susan's boat and you want to learn more about the systems and tools that already exist in HoneyBook and really kind of do some deeper dive stuff, that's where we'll probably meet again. All of those are on YouTube and in our help center. So those are a great, great resource, obviously. And today, I really want to sit down with you guys and kind of approach things from a higher level, bigger picture perspective around just improving your systems in general, understanding, what your systems look like, and then really getting visibility into those things and improving those things. And then obviously that'll lead us into the HoneyBook suite of tools and how you can partner with our tools in order to streamline your systems and processes. So that's really what we're going to be covering. Obviously, the topic today is improving your client flows with HoneyBook. So first things first, I want to go through defining what this concept is. What are client flows? What are we talking about here? So this is really just your unique process, your unique client journey. So this is considering all of the steps that your clients are taking as they're interacting with your business, as well as your kind of internal background workflows that are going on. So it's almost like the intersection where you and your clients meet when you're going into doing business together. So, this is to say, this is not about reinventing the wheel, right? You already have a client flow. It's just a matter of how aware you are of the process and systems that you already have in place, what that looks like, because the more visibility you have into that, the more you can see what it is that you actually do with your clients and know what it is and kind of have that sense of mastery, the more likely you are going to be able to perfect it, fine tune it, and really zone in and build something that's like bulletproof and really operating like a well-oiled machine, right? If you're just in like reaction mode as a business owner, you're never going to get to that place where you've built all the systems and processes and things like that. And I think oftentimes as business owners, we do kind of tend to sit in that place of reaction mode where we're just like behind the wheel, reacting to all the stuff that's coming into our inbox, reacting as our clients are requesting stuff from us. And we don't have that time to kind of take a step back and say, okay, hold on. What is my business process? Because if we know what our process is, we have to know first, right? If we know what our process is, then we can begin to inform our clients of what that process is. And it's part of our responsibility as business owners to inform our clients of that process, because they're not only hiring you to complete, the web design project that they've hired you to do, or whatever deliverables they've requested, whatever service business you're in, right? That's part of it. But the other part is informing your clients of the process to get there. They're hiring you for all of it. So they don't know what it takes to get done, what you need to get done. And it's going to make your life easier and the client's life easier the more you can pay attention to the steps along the way in that process and really cueing your clients into those steps as well. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a client flow. Some typical steps in a client flow might include, firstly, we're looking at mutual qualification. This is when your clients are kind of on the hunt. They're trying to find the right person for the job, but you're also trying to figure out if they're the right client for you. Are you going to be able to meet their needs? Those kinds of things. So this is that first step in your client flow. Again, these are just kind of typical high-level steps. You might have some more nuanced steps than these. You will likely not have fewer steps than these, but this is just to kind of get your gears turning in the right direction around what a client flow is and what yours might look like. So mutual qualification is the first good step there. Booking is a very simple, again, high-level next step where you and the client are going to be entering into a legal version of doing business together. You're collecting payment. You're talking about the client's needs, expectations, those kinds of things. Moving on to project management, where you are actually executing on the work. You're interacting with the client throughout the project. You're creating the deliverables and being able to actually deliver those things to the client. And then you're completing the job. You are offboarding the client. You're maybe asking for renewal, asking for referrals, reviews, those kinds of things. Okay, so again, these are just 4 kind of typical steps in a client flow to kind of get your mind thinking in that direction. Okay, so I want to give you guys 3 questions today to kind of assess where you're at in your unique client flow. And it's really important when we approach these questions to not let's not put like the cart before the horse here. And I want to really make sure that we're assessing these questions from the lens of how can my system better serve me? Because these questions are heavy hitters. They can start to have us telling some nasty stories in our heads, and we don't want to get to that place where we're just kind of getting down on ourselves or even getting overwhelmed at the idea of some of these questions. Rather, I want to use these questions to fuel the thought process around how can my system better serve me in the season of business that I'm in right now. Okay. The first question I want to go through is, where are things slipping through the cracks? So how might this look in your business? How might this manifest itself? So In the age of instant gratification, the biggest place where this comes up is when you have messages or inquiries sitting in your inbox for hours, even days sometimes. Our clients have this kind of unspoken expectation that they're going to get what they need from you right away. So how do you either A, set the expectation that that's not the way that you operate, or B, set up a system so that is the way that you operate, especially like Susan was saying with those initial inquiries. You want to maybe make sure that your system is set up to really quickly get the information that client is requesting to them without you having to lift a finger. And HoneyBook will go into the features in a couple minutes here, but of course does have that automation trigger where you can have those things set up so that you're creating a really kind of predictive process. You're really anticipating your client's needs, anticipating the different situations that are coming up, and you've built a system that's really bulletproof around those situations that you know are tried and true and consistently coming up in your business. So another way this might show up in your business is if you're generally feeling scattered. I know Susan touched on this a little bit as well when we're looking at our email inbox, trying to figure out where that message is, trying to find things, trying to track things down. Like there is no way that that is the best use of your time as a business owner. There is no way that you enjoy that part of your process. So if you've ever felt scattered, disorganized, you've got that dreaded feeling in the back of your head, like, oh, did I send that invoice? Did they submit that payment? Any of those things are a great sign that it's time to consolidate your tools and get things organized under one roof and one suite of software and one suite of tools with HoneyBook. So that's kind of the first question there. The second question I want to go through with you guys again, just to kind of get your gears turning around where you can improve your processes. And I know we got a couple people who registered today who are super new to business. So some of these things you might be like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. That's totally fine. I think oftentimes newer businesses will wait for almost like a catalyst event, right? Like something to go wrong before you're like, oh, okay, I really do need to change this part of my business. I want to encourage you guys to start with the process so that you don't have to wait for that dreaded moment to come in where you're like, I knew I should have done that, right? So let's anticipate the needs, build the process out first so you're hitting the ground running with your business. So second question here is where are you currently involved, but you don't need to be? So some examples of this, again, just to kind of focus on that inquiry example, we want to really identify the places in our business where we can have a very personalized interaction with the clients and it actually matters, right? The last thing you want to do is be investing all this time with, again, let's use the example of an inquiry. You're investing all this time uniquely typing out an email every single time you get a client. So every client, you're treating it like a brand new situation. You're reinventing the wheel. You're assessing it in a vacuum rather than knowing you get kind of three types of inquiries. You get them for this service, and this service. And most of the time they're requesting availability and pricing. So how can you anticipate those needs and make sure you've got a system set up to reply to those things rather than uniquely replying every single time, right? Because that's not necessarily moving the needle for you. You can still have those personal interactions with your clients where you're personally getting them the information that they're requesting, but it's not unique every single time. When you're creating those situations where you're just reacting at a whim and you're uniquely replying every single time, you're investing time in a space in your business where it's not moving the needle and it's not having that impact. It would be so much better if you were using those really personal touch points with those clients who are already invested with you. They do already have skin in the game. They have already paid their retainer. They have already signed a contract. Those are the really powerful moments where you can sit down with someone in a coffee shop or on a Zoom call or a discovery call or anything like that, right? Like that's where you know it moves the needle, not with those unique email replies. You can automate that piece of your process, right? So kind of assessing where you can afford to let go of the wheel a little bit and let your system operate for you, but also understanding where you do really want or need to be involved because it does have impact on your client's relationship with you. Okay, third question here is how effortless is your booking process? So this is super important. Again, in the age of instant checkout, online shopping, all that stuff, how do we make sure that our business is measuring up Everyone is used to paying with their credit card online. How do you make sure that your business is set up to do the same thing, right? And how do you make sure that in that effort of paying online, that it's completely seamless and pain-free? So making sure that your system is set up to collect payment the moment that your client decides that you're the right person for the job, right? So I want to kind of challenge our thinking today in that the booking process does not begin at the moment that you send an invoice, right? Because at that point, the client has already reached out and said, hello, like, how do I move forward with booking, right? How can we even anticipate a step further? How can we make sure we're a step ahead of our clients as much as possible, right? How can we anticipate their needs, anticipate our process, and make sure that they get access to submitting payment the moment that they know that you're the right person for the job, right? So let's kind of challenge our thinking a little bit that way today. Okay. So I've gone through all of these questions high level to get our gears turning around how we can start to streamline. So how do you actually put these things into place? We've got the solution at HoneyBook, right? So what is HoneyBook? What does this mean? How is it going to help you, for example? So HoneyBook is a platform for creative, independent business owners like yourselves to help you manage, simplify, and scale your businesses all in one place. So we're talking from very first inquiry, and I know Susan talked about this a little bit too, from very first inquiry all the way through all your communications, payments, file sharing, contracts, e-signatures, all of that information, the bulk of that project management through completion of work. HoneyBook is making it super easy for you to manage your business and run your business all in one place. So this is to say that by nature, HoneyBook is going to solve for a ton of those problems that we just talked about, right? Like, and Susan was mentioning this too. It's giving you that visibility into your business. If you're someone who's like, yeah, I'm kind of in that boat where like, I'm sure I have a client flow. I'm sure I have a process. I just couldn't really like tell you what it is. If you point blank ask me what my process is, I wouldn't really be able to tell you. Well, HoneyBook is going to solve for that immediately just by giving you visibility into who's who and in what part of your process they're in, right? Are they in the inquiry stage? Are they in the middle of figuring out booking you? Have they signed a contract? Have they submitted payment? Where do they kind of fall in that scheme of working with you? So, the system is also incredibly flexible and customizable, which is to say you can be one of those people who gets in there and just kind of scratches the surface with the tools because it is relatively robust. And I think sometimes if you come in not being aware of your process, that can feel overwhelming because we're overwhelmed by the amount of choices. And that's why I wanted to start you guys out today thinking through what your process is and really being confident in that first, so that by the time you get to the HoneyBook tools, you can look at certain things in the, suite of what we offer and you can say, yep, I know how I'm going to use that. I know how I'm going to use that. I know how I'm going to use that, right? And you can come to the system and say, this is my process. This is how I need HoneyBook to work for me. And then that way you won't feel like overwhelmed by the amount of choices that you have, but rather you'll be confident in your process and what your business looks like and set up the HoneyBook tools to reflect that. So the tools that are going to help you get there. Scheduling is a huge one. Invoicing is another. Contracting, e-signatures, automations. I know we talked a little bit about tasks as well. So this is just kind of scratching the surface again around some of our like buzzier, more favored tools that we offer. And then the latest and greatest that we've released is called Smart Files. So I want to go through in a couple minutes what Smart Files are and what they mean for your business. So essentially, this new feature that we've released, this new tool that we've released is called Smart Files. And when we think about files, we think about them as single client interactions, right? So when we send an invoice to a client, they're on the receiving end, they open the email, they open the attachment, they interact with that file, and it's pretty much accomplishing one thing, right? It's reviewing what they're receiving, that's maybe got a payment schedule. And then if it's an online invoicing tool, they have the ability to submit payment. But that's kind of where the buck stops. It's like that one file, that one sit down experience with your client completes one task. But maybe with your business at the time of booking, on the day of booking, you want your client to also sign a contract with you. Maybe you also like to, once they've gone through that booking process and it's official, you like to send them an onboarding questionnaire to really kick off your work together and get more details from them. So knowing that and seeing our business owners kind of miss those pieces, right? Because of the tools that they had in place, the systems that they had in place weren't serving them, right? Their process was being defined by these files that weren't really able to do enough to get the job done in one sitting. So that's what we've changed here. In one sitting, one single file can do whatever you need it to do. It can do the invoice, it can do the contract, it can collect payment, and it can kick off the onboarding experience if that's what you need it to do. But again, you have to know your process enough to be able to identify where those steps can be combined and then build the file that does that. So that's essentially what we're talking about here. A file is simply a single client interaction, but it's now defined by the function that you need it to complete. So this next slide is more for existing HoneyBook members. We didn't have any register today, so I'm just going to skip over that and go right into the good stuff around what smart files look like when you're actually building them out. So this is a glimpse into the tools and actions available to us when we are building out a smart file. So we've got the ability to add text in here so you can say and communicate what you need to your clients. We've got questions. This is great for collecting information from your clients at any stage. So feedback on designs, qualifying your leads, getting feedback from them around your process during the offboarding. How did this go? Do you have any feedback for us? You can include video. This is, again, one of those super awesome ways to personally connect with your clients without it having to be unique every single time, right? You can really personally show up, welcome them, show your face, hear your voice, that kind of stuff. And maybe that's in a file that sends automatically without you even having to lift a finger, right? So again, really showing up personally for your clients without you having to uniquely type it out every single time and hit send. Invoicing, of course, we touched on this a little bit. So this is the ability to collect payments from your clients, contracts and e-signatures. So your clients can pay and sign right from their phone using their finger if they need to. And then service selection. So service selection is something that's pretty unique to HoneyBook. If you have any kind of pricing guide or brochure or any place where you showcase your different service offerings to your clients, you can build that into HoneyBook Smart Files as an interactive experience for your clients. So not only are they reviewing a quote or a pricing guide or a brochure, they're also able to select what services, what package, what add-ons they're interested in receiving from you, similar to kind of an online checkout experience, right? They're kind of shopping your services, choosing the ones that they like, and then submitting that to you. This specific feature is super powerful when it's used hand in hand with invoicing, right? As you can imagine, your clients are able to not only go through and select what they're interested in moving forward with, but they are able to move forward with it. They can submit payment in that same instant. So if that's something that makes sense, again, to your process, maybe it doesn't. So don't worry about what I'm saying if it doesn't apply to your process. But if that sounds like that would be a time save and you'd love to be able to, after your discovery call, send over the service options that you and the clients had discussed along with an invoice page. So once they select those things, they're dropped off with the ability to pay. So you've got that kind of assumption in there that they're ready to move forward with booking, right? You can also add in the contract element so that hands-off booking flow is like built out there. That would be so powerful and save you so much time. Plus, it makes your clients feel like, wow, this is like such an experience of working with this person, right? So let's hop into our template gallery really quick to get a sense for how these files kind of come together, or how these tools that we were just looking at come together to actually build these files for your clients. So we can build everything we kind of know and love, right? Like pricing guides, contracts, invoices, proposals. It can be that simple. A smart file could just be an invoice if that's all you needed it to be. But the idea here is, how can we take it a step further? How can we level up our businesses, combine steps, and really streamline our processes in the areas where we can afford to do that? So if we do take things a step further, we might be looking at things like that hands-off booking document I was just talking about, proofing documents with legal sign-off at the bottom, onboarding files that are super interactive, testimonial requests and offboarding files, design and mood boards, right? Like all of these things that I'm showing you here in the template gallery are examples of what a smart file might ultimately come together to look like. But the flexibility here is pretty endless, which again is why I started out today's session talking you guys through how to think about your own process so that you're not overwhelmed by this, but rather it's like exciting that you have this opportunity to create a process that really works for you and create these files that will really serve you and your clients in the way that you need. So to kind of sum this up, what we've done with Smart Files is we've changed the design. So we've given you tons of flexibility from a design perspective. As you can see, there's a ton of different ways that you can make these look like your brand and feel like you. But we've also changed the function of these files, right? Because one single file can do as many functions and things as you need it to do. So those two, the design and the function, is really what's going to come together to set your business apart. But it's also what sets HoneyBook apart as a suite of tools for your business, right? No other program is out there offering something this robust and this flexible to really kind of meet you where you're at with your process. So again, great time to assess where you can, assess bottlenecks in your business, where you can improve and combine steps. You can make sure that your clients are never waiting on you for information, or vice versa. You're never waiting on your clients, right? How can you set up a single file interaction to get the jobs done and that one sitting experience that you need to get done? So the template gallery is a great place to go to source inspiration, again, from a design perspective, to see how other people have made theirs look really compelling and visually beautiful, but also from a process perspective, right? To assess like how other businesses are combining steps and really streamlining their processes there. Okay, and then it's super easy to get your branding applied to these things. There's something called a company theme in HoneyBook, and with one click of a button, it'll swipe over your colors, your logos, your branding onto those files, so you can save them and share them super quickly with your clients. So file sharing is obviously a massive piece of what we do here, but it's these tools that work hand in hand with our other project management tools that are really going to help you step into that zone of genius that we've been talking through earlier. So the first one I want to go through here is the contact form. So this is how you capture your leads into HoneyBook. So HoneyBook has a contact form that you will replace whatever contact form you have on your website today with. Really anywhere you get your leads from. So if they're texting you, emailing you, DMing you, whatever that might be, there's also a direct link or kind of a standalone landing page version of this contact form that you can share as well. So that could be your link in your bio. You could DM it out to people. And then that way, no matter where people are coming from, they're going to get funneled directly into your HoneyBook pipeline, which drops us off here. This is kind of a bird's eye view of the HoneyBook pipeline and the automatic job tracking that we have in place. So this is really where I was talking about how HoneyBook is going to immediately give you that visibility into your business like you haven't had before. This is showing you everyone you're working with and what stage they fall into in your process. So are they an inquiry? Have you already followed up with them? Have you sent a booking file? Have they signed that? Have they paid that? The automatic job tracking. So HoneyBook is smart enough to recognize your behavior in the program as well as your client's behavior. And it's going to be able to automatically track those different actions and update those clients to the specific stage that they fall under. So it's giving you that really kind of peace of mind around who's who and what part of your process. This is like taking all the legwork out of having to, or the guessing game really of understanding like who's who are you working with, who hasn't replied yet, did you send that file? Like that is basically eliminated just by nature, implementing a tool like this. Okay, the next quick one I want to go through here is scheduling. So HoneyBook has a scheduling tool. This will replace any scheduler you use. So if you use Calendly, Acuity, anything like that, you will no longer need those tools. It will live under one roof with HoneyBook. So it's going to show your availability to your clients. So if you're someone who books discovery calls, like Susan was saying, this is great because it'll show your availability and they'll be able to choose the time that works best for them. So you don't have any more of that email ping pong, right? Like when we're we're talking about where are we involved in our process, but we don't need to be, that email ping pong is like the first thing to go, right? Like, let's set up a tool like a scheduler. Let's put a tool in place because we can predict that we set up meetings a lot. So let's set up a tool that will make that part of our process easier. So that's a part where we can let go of the wheel, right? The next one here is automations, which we did touch on a little bit earlier as well. This is just giving us a glimpse into some of the things that can be done. So we can create tasks, we can send emails, we can send files all automatically, or not. We can set up kind of a queue of actions, and they can be set to approve before sending, but at least those kinds of tasks will already be in there so that HoneyBook can remind you that, hey, it's been 3 days since you heard from this person. You had mentioned you wanted to call them at this point. Here's the reminder to do that, right? So HoneyBook can automatically send out files or emails or any of that stuff using the automations tool. So that is another great way to make sure that nothing ever slips through the cracks and you're super on top of it, but also another way to give you that peace of mind, right? Because the system is going to be tracking those things for you, and you never have to, again, have that guessing game of, did I do that yet? Or anything like that. Okay. So automations is another huge, great kind of hands off the wheel way to, again, personally show up with your clients, but not have to uniquely be involved at every single, bump in the road. Right. The last piece here is workspace organization. So this is just a quick glimpse into the project workspace that Susan was talking about. So this shows us a consolidated view of our email conversation thread that we have with this specific client. So each client will basically be a project in HoneyBook, and then you can go into that project and review all of your conversation thread back and forth, any emails you've exchanged, any HoneyBook files you've exchanged. Did the client submit a contact form? And it'll keep a record of that contact form at the bottom here with all of their responses saved. Have they signed a contract? Have they submitted payment? All of those actions and interactions will be logged in one place here. So again, you can forget about ever having to dig through your email inbox again. This is going to be a much more consolidated, organized view in one central location for you and your client to communicate. Okay, again, I've just barely kind of scratched the surface here. We also have a mobile app. We also have financing tools. We have reporting and tasks and lead management and all that good stuff as well. So if that is something that interests you, I want to make sure I'm able to share out Susan's code here. So let me pop that in for anyone to go ahead and use that. But what's the big picture here, right? So if you take one thing away from today's session, it's just that HoneyBook gives you autonomy. So it's that power of choice in your business, right? You as a business owner get to tell the system what your process is, not the other way around, right? We're not going to square peg round hole this situation. At HoneyBook, we want to make sure that we're flexible enough to fit your needs. So that puts you in the seat of power, that puts you in a place of control. And you need to know what your process is in order to take full advantage of that, which is why I started us out today where I did. And that just means you're going to be able to combine steps in the places where you need to combine steps so you can really streamline your process there, but also hold space in other places where you do know you need to or like to, or it moves the needle to be uniquely personally involved with your clients at those spots, right? So you can combine steps in some places, hold space in others. It's going to work with you however you need to define your process so that way you're only involved at precisely the moments that you need to be and not a second more, which ultimately means more time back, right? And you can invest that however you want. You can invest that in scaling your business. That could be more time with the family. That could be that vacation you've been putting off to Italy, whatever that looks like for your business. That's really what HoneyBook is in the business of affording you, is more time back to do what you love, whatever that means for you. So that was really everything I had planned. I know that this, it doesn't look like we had anyone show up, but we'll have people go back and watch the recording, I'm sure. So I don't think we'll have any questions coming through, but.
Mac, thank you so much. So I learned, the thing about HoneyBook was getting started was awesome. And I was moving over from someplace else. So I had an idea of what my flows were. But man, if you try to do it all at one time, it does
Yeah.
seem overwhelming. And so that's
Right.
why I talked about what I got started with. I already had an discovery call process and kind of an onboarding process. So I started there. But now watching you look at that, show what you did, I can see where I can even up level that I'm already comfortable with. And then I wrote
Yeah.
down two things that like blew my mind when you were talking. Using video in that process.
Mm.
I am going to start that tomorrow, right? Like I have a
Love it.
generic video that I send people to, but I'm going to
Yeah.
use that to really personalize. And what was the other thing I wrote down? Oh, a standalone contact page. I like
Yeah.
that. I have just the scheduler on my website that I integrated on my Kajabi website, but I love the
Mm.
idea of a standalone contact page too, so that
Yeah.
people, it's just so clear. I think that's what it is. Donald Miller, right? Storybrand. He always says, if you confuse, you lose. And I think that's what HoneyBook helps with on
Yeah.
both ends. It helps people, it helps us stay less confused about, like you showed the whole
Right.
pipeline thing. Who have we got to contact? How do we remember to do that? And it also helps our clients feel like they're in a container of support. Like
Right.
we know what we're doing. I know
Right.
what I'm doing. Let me help you along. And so I want to thank you for presenting for my community here. And I'll look forward to sharing it with people.
Yeah, of
If they
course.
have
No,
any
always happy
questions,
to help.
I'll let you know. Like I've got your email. When people ask me questions, if I don't know, I'm going to be hitting you up.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, no worries at all. And just to kind of wrap things up here too, just to make it super clear around the process when you are transitioning to HoneyBook. So we have, first off, I mean, Susan's got a code for you guys for $1 for your first 8 months with us. So $1 per month for your first 8 months with us, which is a great deal. I mean, that's $8 for 8 months of service, which is amazing. The second piece is there is a 7-day trial. That is in a relatively blank account. So I would say just go ahead and upgrade for the $1, right? And when you do upgrade, our concierge team will reach out and we actually set up your account for you. So we'll take all of your forms, files, documentation, like all of the stuff that goes into how you communicate with your clients today. And we will set that up as Smart Files in HoneyBook. So we'll really help kind of save that time on that initial setup piece. And then you still get that kind of 8-month window with that discounted price to really make sure it's a perfect fit for your business before you have to pay anything more than that. So just to kind of explain that full process, that's what people would be looking at if they wanted to move forward with your code
That's an
there.
amazing service that you will set them up like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a really quick turnaround too. We do it in like 3 business days. So
Yes.
it's a pretty awesome service.
So good. So good. It's
Great.
almost right. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Just give it a try.
Right? Why
See if it
wouldn't you?
works. No harm, no
Awesome.
foul.
Great. Is there anything else we need to know, Mac?
I think that was everything. Yeah, no, I appreciate you and definitely send me any questions you have along the way and happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you. Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye bye.